So how does it kind of feel to have those guys get recognized for their big months?
Yeah, I'll go three. Grant Delpit, Cleveland Browns Man of the Year, the Walter Payton Man of the Year, which is an extremely prestigious honor also. So, congratulations to him. Carson, Defensive Rookie of the Month. I think he's still got a lot more in front of him. And then Myles, he can only get ignored so many times on Player of the Week that has to be Player of the Month. I think I can speak for all those guys, maybe other than Grant, because Grant's Ward really not on the field. But those other guys would swap those awards for wins, and that's where we are right now.
Sack that Myles had last week against the 49ers, that move he made to the left. Just what do you think when you see him do that?
Yeah, big guys like that shouldn't be able to make moves like that. It's crazy that way. Some of his best, that was a great rush. Some of his best rushes didn't result in sacks. He had some early in the game where, that was, like I had said last week, that's Hall of Famer versus Hall of Famer. And, impressive stuff out of both of those guys.
For the rest of the season, how much does that hurt, and kind of who has to step up in his absence now?
Yeah, Malik was playing great football for us, probably the best football of his career. Was an inside presence for us, was a guy that could win one-on-ones. It just really falls to everybody. I don't know that anybody has to whatever, do more. They all just have to be themselves, and they'll get more opportunities. And I think that's probably the biggest thing is you have to make the most of those opportunities. Whether you're Mason, whether you're Shelby, whether you're Sam, whether you're Mike, maybe Aiden, when Aiden's able to come back, it just provides opportunity for those guys, and they have to do something with that opportunity. I would say this. We lost Mason. We lost Malik in that game. I was very, very impressed by Mason in that game. Played super, super hard. Was all over the field. I think every week we're seeing better from him, and I think that was another big set. It's only a matter of time before we start seeing that the level of play start equaling the production, like the stat sheet kind of stuff for Mason.
What is the mood of the defensive line room when you're preparing for a team that's given up the most sacks?
I don't know that it really changes from a weekly basis. You look at individual matchups, you look at scheme. I think that stuff is, what the focus is on, not necessarily the number of sacks that they've given up. And when we look at film, a lot of times you're looking at games that you think are similar or closer to where you're playing, so maybe you don't even see all those things. I'd say this, when our D-line creates pressure, tackles for losses, just wreaks havoc, we're at our best, and we need those guys to do that for us, not just in the pass game, but in the run game here also. We've had a high percentage of tackles for losses. We have a high percentage of sacks. We don't necessarily have a absolute number because we don't have as many attempts, but we're going to need that from those guys in this game.
Let's see Cam Ward on film study. Does he share that sack number with his linemen? You see?
Yeah, I don't want to go into their coaching and things like that, but I just say philosophically or just generally, just a little bit like when you give up a play on defense and everybody says, well, that corner gave up a play. And you're like, yeah, but we didn't get any pressure, or he was expecting help here. It's very rarely a one-person thing. So I just say in general, anytime an offense takes sacks, there's a lot of different places. It's scheme, it's execution of scheme, it's individual, technique up front. It's receivers getting open. It's the quarterback knowing where to go and things like that. And if one of those things breaks down, all those things can be perfect, and one of those things break down, then you'll get a sack. Everything can be perfect, and if an offensive lineman gets beat quick, you're going to get a sack. Or if a quarterback's expecting a receiver in a certain spot and it's not there, or the quarterback isn't prepared to throw quick because didn't see the overload or whatever it is. I think it's very rare that you can attribute anything to one individual player, whether it's offense, defense, or even special teams.
Myles being 4 sacks away from that NFL record, how does his individual accolades and the things that he's able to do as one player, effort-wise, impact the rest of your defense?
Yeah, he's obviously unique player and a game-changing player. So I think players in general feed off each other, and I think it's no different for somebody like Myles. When Myles is rushing well, it energizes the rest of the group, and when the rest of the group is rushing well, it energizes Myles. And I'd say that through all 11 guys on defense. We're a team that we try to play physical, we try to play with great effort, and we try to show some personality. Well, that personality shows through a lot when guys are making plays, guys are celebrating on the field, that synergy is building, and guys are feeding off of each other with that energy. So we certainly do that with Myles, but I think also he gets energized with some other players. I think it's easy to see on film. A lot of times see him congratulating some of the other players, and he comes over to the sideline. A lot of times maybe he'll take a triple team and somebody else will make a sack, and he's really happy for that guy. That gives us a lot of energy also.
See, when you look at Cam Ward, his numbers aren't great, but what do you see when you look at him?
Yeah, I mean, he's rookie quarterback, so going through, it's hard to evaluate them without 100% knowing exactly what their scheme is and things like that, but has taken a bunch of sacks. And probably one of the biggest things for us is we really got to be disruptive in the middle of the pocket, because he's given up a lot of fumbles this year also. And it's one thing to take sacks, but you turn a sack into a fumble. Sacks are game-changing plays. Forced fumbles in the pocket are huge plays. So we'll need stuff like that also.
I think Bubba Baker's 23 sacks and 78 should be the record.
He has 23, and then it was 78. Yeah, I think it was 78 that he put Burt Jones out for a separated shoulder, and I think it was the last preseason game, back when you used to have 6 preseason games. I was a Baltimore Colt fan, grew up in Baltimore, and Burt Jones was my favorite player. And I think it was the last preseason game, and he separated Burt Jones's shoulder. And the Colts had just come off an AFC Championship appearance in '77, and it really just derailed them. They opened, I think, with Cowboys that year, and they started a third quarterback, a guy named Mike Kirkland from Arkansas, against the Cowboys on Monday night. Tough duty. So yeah, I don't know. That's where I wish Dino Lucarelli were around to give us some perspective, because he was such a historian and knew the history of the game and things like that. I can't really speak for where stats were and things like that. I know this, a lot of times in those 60s and 70s and stuff like that, guys threw the ball a lot less. So there was less opportunity to make plays. But you turn around and look at some of the ways they had to pass protect. Bubba Baker got helped by offensive linemen having to do this, and the quarterbacks dropped 18 yards deep. They were like doing the 100-meter dash to try to get deep. Stuff like that doesn't exist. So eras sort of stay the same, but I'd leave that up to the historians that know. I know Al Baker was a great player for the Lions. He was a feared player. I've had a lot of great pass rushers over the years, and we've studied a lot of the guys, the Deacon Joneses and the Al Bubba Bakers, and you name it, the Lawrence Taylors. So if Myles is able to cross that bridge, You know, that's you know, we talk about club records, and you talk about maybe a, you know, season record leading the NFL, but when you talk about the all-time record, that says an awful lot, particularly a lot of the players that have played in the past.
Myles, I know you talk about it all the time, but when you get a short field, you got to try to keep them to 3 points. So how disappointed were you in that? And it looked like they converted some third downs when you had a chance to get off the field.
Yeah, that was probably the biggest thing in that game. We did a lot of really good things in that game. Like, we held them to less than 4 yards. I think it was like 3.8 yards a play, which is really good. And, you know, McCaffrey, the leading, scrimmage yards, you know, I think he had like 75 yards on a lot of touches. He was like 2.8 a touch, which is obviously what you got to do with those guys. I think really that game in the whatever, the crucible, whatever you want to call it, was the third downs, particularly in the red zone. You know, like, we get a chance to hold those to 3 and be able to get off the field. And you're not going to make every one. I mean, that's a talented group. There's a group that can do a lot of things, but that was probably the tail of the tape in that game. We need to do 50% better job on third down, half of those completions or half of those conversions. And none of them were like big plays. It was just, you know, you got a short field and 2 yards means an awful lot, or, you know, the ability to convert in some of those. So that's the biggest thing I was disappointed in that game is it was frustrating in our ability to not get off the field on some of those third downs, especially in the red zone. Again, that's a good group. We think we're a good group. We got to find a way to be a little bit better in there, and then holding them to field goals there. You know, we can keep that game at least manageable within a score. It was 2 scores, I think, with about 7 minutes left or something like that. But obviously that goes a long way, and you know, that's where we failed to get the job done on Sunday.